Hi, and welcome to the launch of the new Sheikhy's Cricket Show. You can find us by simply searching Sheikhy's Sports Journeys, and you can get us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Podbean. Please do subscribe. We're going to be bringing lots of good content from all different sports, football, cricket, rugby, as well as other sports. I'm joined by my co-host, Flanners. Flanners, you good? And let's get into the guests. So I thought first episode, I need to bring together a couple of top men. So first and foremost, back by popular demand, he's becoming a bit of a regular in the show. Mr. Bruce Willis, aka ex-Yorkshire, ex-England, ex-Scotland, and ex-Durham cricketer Gavin Hamilton. How you doing, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me back. It's sort of keeping me entertained through all this lockdown palaver. It's nice to speak to somebody who's not 4 months old.
So, listen, I wanted to give you a break in between nappy changing. So here we are. It was nice to see Woody in the background, looking very happy, and it's good to see that you're enjoying fatherhood.
No, it's great.
Money, mate. You must be charging a few bob if Gav's been on this much, I tell you.
I tell you what, if we keep talking for about 3 hours after this podcast, just keep pretending so I don't have to go upstairs.
And last but not least, I'm joined by the speedster. When I say speedster, I mean 90 plus miles per hour. Ex-Test cricketer for the West Indies and ODI cricketer. I'm joined all the way from Barbados, from Tino, Mind the Windows Best.
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's good to be here. One love to my boy Gavin. We go way back. So it's good to be here, guys. Good afternoon.
I was just saying, Bestie, it must be 20 years, isn't it, since we met? 2001, I think it was.
Yeah, 2001, 20 years, exact, man.
20 years, man. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I remember on the
I tell you what, it wouldn't be far off this time of year either.
Yeah, actually, it was a little bit down, November.
Yeah.
November met 20 years, yeah. Wow.
Well, you're looking well, guys. You're looking young. Tino, I always see your pictures on Instagram and whatnot. I think you look like a little WWE wrestler, man. You know the action figures that you get. You look like one of them. You've got every single bloody muscle and every single. It's frightening.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you joining. Us. And we're just going to have a bit of a chat today about cricket in general. But the first question I want to ask both of you. And Tino has advised me to always go to Gav first because he's respecting his senior. And that question is, Gav, what format of cricket were you striving to play when you were coming up and, growing up, and why?
It was a no-brainer for me, Shaker. It was, Test cricket. Well, bearing in mind, don't forget, T20 stuff wasn't about when I was sort of that age, sort of in early 90s when I think I took my first pro contract in 1992. So there's no T20 stuff. Because in those days, it was the 40-over things on a Sunday. So we used to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, championship, play a 40-over game on the Sunday afternoon, then finish off the championship on the Monday, day off Tuesday, then think about probably a Benson Hedges game on the Wednesday, which was 50 overs. So there were 3 formats. But striving for the 4-day stuff and Test cricket was the only format in those days. It was the only form of cricket. It was the only one that was covered on TV. The odd one-day game, maybe the Benson Hedges stuff. So at least the BBC covered all the Test match cricket. And the thought of playing just non-stop for 5 days was the dream. Obviously, as a bestie, you'll know when you're bowling, it becomes hard work. And sometimes you think, oh, please win the toss and bat. I can't be arsed today. But when you're younger, 5 days of playing cricket, it's the absolute dream, isn't it? A day off, then start again. So, yeah, it was a no-brainer for me. 4-day stuff into the Yorkshire team was the goal with a view to playing Test cricket. And like I said, things are obviously very different now, which I'm sure we'll get onto.
Tino, same question to you, my friend.
Yeah, man, it was a no-brainer, man, to play Test cricket for sure. When I started my professional career in December 2001, man, it was just to be playing for Barbados, just 4-day cricket and Test cricket, man. That was the ultimate to live the dream. Growing up around my uncle as well, former Test cricketer Carly Best. Look, man, that was always the thing to play international cricket. There wasn't any 2020 around either. There was only I was just a couple of years after Gav, a few years after Gav. That was the thing, man. Like, just being strong enough to play cricket, man. You know, you want to be fit, you want to be strong, and you want to make a name for yourself. You want to get out of that shadow of my uncle. So playing Test cricket was the ultimate, man. Playing first class cricket, playing for Barbados and West Indies.
But Tino, obviously, growing up in the West Indies, mate, it was incredible because the heritage was just fast bowlers, wasn't it? It was just Test cricket.
Man, listen, me growing up was the greatest childhood. Like look, I think I had the greatest childhood as a kid. Nobody can touch my childhood. That's the honest truth. Look, I grew up in a village. We were very village orientated in terms of like, if you're not doing your homework, you're playing tape ball cricket every day. When international cricket come between late February to June, everybody's at Kensington Oval. After international cricket is finished, it's straight into going and watch my uncle play club cricket for his mighty Empire, where you had a club side with 9 first class players, and about 9 out of those 9 first class players, 6 are former Test or actually Test players. So I grew up around cricketers. So that was the only thing I knew, man. Cricket and schoolwork, brother. So it was incredible. I mean, when it came to like international cricket, it was myself, Dario Haynes, which is Desmond Haynes' son, Carl Greenwich, who was Gordon Greenwich's son, and Jason Lloyd, who was Clive Lloyd's son. He used to call us Dog Tanning and the Three Musketeers. And we would play cricket morning, lunchtime, evening, every day. And our dream, all 4 of us, was to play for West Indies. Me and Dario, obviously the opening batsman, and Carl and Lloydie was the 2 fast bowlers, and we was going to be the mighty West Indies team. And you know, fortunately, he's the only boy that I thought, I guess. But Carl did well playing his county cricket and stuff. So man, my childhood was tremendously like in lockdown. It helped me to really like think about just lay back and just think about how incredible it was, and how fortunate and blessed I was as well.
Yeah, it was interesting you touched on that, Flanners. I mean, you growing up, you would have had so many role models. You know, you had the Ambrose and Walsh era, you know, Kenny Benjamin, you know, and then prior to that, we've seen what West Indies produced. Kind of sad these days, if I'm being honest. You don't see the same level of fast bowling talent coming out of the Caribbean. I hope it's something that improves in the future. Gav, coming to you, Test cricket to me, even now, is the best form of cricket. You know, if you can succeed in Test cricket, you're a true cricketer. Are kids these days striving to play Test cricket?
No, I don't think so. I think look, you can always tell where kids are is when you're hanging around at your club side. So I live in Guiseley and I don't play much, but my lad who's 16 now plays. And, you know, I go down and watch the nets every now and again, and they're playing reverse ramp shots, second ball. You know, the reverse sweeping at third ball. And you're just thinking, you can't tell them not to, because that's what clearing the boundary and innovative cricket is the way forward. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. You know, you can drill into lads that, you know, Test cricket's the best form. It's not in their eyes. They watch TV. They want to hit sixes. They want to hit. So no, I don't think so. I think they're striving to be playing. Yeah, they're striving to hit. Yeah, right. They're striving to hit boundaries and play stupid shots. But that's where the money is. You know, that's where the contracts are. You know, you see people taking white ball contracts, which is unheard of 20 years ago. You go to your county salary, and you know what? I don't fancy the red ball stuff. Can I have a white ball contract? They'll just tell you to do one. So no, they're not. But you can't stop the evolution of it. That's the thing. And whilst a lot of the T20 cricket is great to watch, and I think a lot of it's going into Test cricket, the pace and the way batters are playing, the sort of mix-up that the bowlers have got. I think it's added so much value to Test cricket, but it's just finding that balance, obviously. But Test cricket is a great way of finding out who are good players and who are not. Anyone can have a flash in a pan. That's what T20 stuff does. But to be a true great, you've got to play Test cricket, have a little bit of longevity, because nobody gives a monkeys about a good-looking 30. You need 160s over a 10-year period or a 5-year period of playing Test cricket, and you ask any professional cricketer who's played for a number of years, and they'll tell you the same.
But class is permanent, Gav. Look at Joe Root. Joe Root can play across any format, can't he? You know what I mean? And he's adapted his game. But You know, I was saying to the boys, look at this winter. You know, I don't know what's changed. He seems to be playing the ball so much later. I don't know if it's personal off the field, but you know, he's obviously grown up in that time where 4-day cricket, Test cricket, but he's got the game to do both formats, and that's classic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many who have, but you're absolutely right. I think I watched an interview he had, and he said he'd had taken lockdown to take time away to think about his game. But they're the good players. Obviously he's in the elite, but the good players are constantly evolving. Because Bestie will tell you he'll play against a couple of batters and they'll find weaknesses. They see a weakness, they'll home in on it, and there's nowhere to hide. So unless you change, unless you keep moving with the game and keep moving your technique to combat whatever bowling, it doesn't have to be fast bowling, it can be spinners. So it's just that, like, Ruti is a prime example of just evolving and just doing what it takes to be the best. And look, there's no reason, it's not coincidence that he is in the top two, I think he is now. And it's just different gravy. But that's Test cricket for you. I mean, these guys are playing on an absolute Bunsen burner out in India now. You've got to adapt. You can't, I prefer a green seaming pitch, or you just got to, whatever's put in front of you, you've got to do it. Whereas in the T20 stuff, you know, it's a bit crash, bang, wallop, but you can obviously make a good career out of it. So there's the fine balance.
Tino, what's happening in the Caribbean? I mean, a great advert has just happened. A fantastic achievement by the Windies boys winning away in Bangladesh. But what's the general feeling? You heard from Gav there. You know, he's going down to his local club where his lad plays, and they're all trying all crazy shots. But you, for instance, I mean, you're used to batting on the beach as well. I've seen videos of you. You like a ramp or two as well. But what's the general feeling amongst kids coming through? Is it just the T20? Is that what you're noticing?
Well, what Gav said just now was absolutely correct. I don't even know how to follow up that, brother. Look, the passion for Test cricket is still there. You're only going to get that respect from your contemporaries when you play Test cricket over 5 to 10 years and score those big runs, brother. So look, let me show you something. I was in Masters League last year. Actually, we gotta go back. Gavin, you play for England. Man, I'm not holding no prisoners, man. I'm peppering everyone. But listen, on a serious note, look, I was one of the West Indian players, retired players, made this comment. He said, one of our T20 players are talking about, one of our T20 players is massive. He's got the biggest contracts and all that. And a guy from another team who's played 100 tests, he said, no one cares about that, bro. If you give me 100 tests any day before a big IPL contract, brother, it's about being remembered for those great things. Mm-hmm. So amongst that elite class, amongst the Joe Roots, the Virat Kohlis, the Kane Williamsons, the just to name a few, man, they may care about no IPL, no Steve Smith and those guys, no Mitchell Starc and Cummins and those guys. The man want 5 first in Test cricket, bro. The man, they care about $5 million. And I guess because the whole certain things, the big tree is structured, they don't have to worry about that. But what has affected West Indies cricket is that we don't get the opportunity to get big central contracts. And I think that's the only problem with West Indies cricket, that you're going to see the talented players not playing for West Indies in Test cricket. Because if a guy can make $1 million US in 6 weeks, man, I remember back in the day, it take you 10 years to make $1 million playing professional cricket. That's the honest truth. No, a guy can play 6 weeks and make $1 million playing 2020. And that doesn't even care if he has a good season or not. If once you get by, that's your pay. But cricket is still well and alive in the Caribbean, brother. What Kalmirs have just done has really reignited a lot of cricketers across the region in terms of, yo, man, that's the thing. Because the only way you're going to improve your intrinsic value is if you play Test cricket. That is where you develop yourself as a cricketer. You don't want to be known as a 2020 cricketer or just a limited overs cricketer. You want to be known as a cricketer holistically. So Gav just said it perfectly, brother. I can't even come back. Like that's the thing about West Indies cricket. The only thing that's affecting us is the ability, or I should say, the lack of ability from the board to get big contract players locked in to play Test cricket. And that's why West Indies cricket is the way that they are. For me personally, I always thought that West Indies cricket, even when I made West Indies team nearly 19 years ago, we always had problems with the board and pay. You know what I mean? And I play with Lara and those guys, and they were saying they had the same problems with Viv, and Viv had the same problem with Clive, and Clive had the same problem with Keith. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? From Sober's days, brother. Yeah. So living in this part of the world, there's a lot of injustice and stuff in terms of not getting paid the right what we want or what should be given to us. And look, at the end of the day, guys are gonna go where the green is where the grass is greener, and that's just the way West Indian cricket is. But right now we have a nucleus of players that are tremendous. They're hungry for it. And look, IPL is the ultimate. I don't mind guys playing in the IPL. I just don't want to see them playing in every little league around the world, trying to grab at every check. Still believe, look, a guy that has lost his way in international cricket is Carlos Brathwaite. Carlos Brathwaite is a tremendous cricketer. He's just not a 2020 cricket. That guy can bat, bowl, and field. And he's in the Big Bash playing while West Indies are playing Test cricket. Carlos would be so good in that Test team right now. But man,
it's a shame.
The board not being able to lock in players. Man, seriously, you got a West Indies, look, a top West Indies contract is 150,000 US. Come on, guys.
Yeah. You can earn that in a week.
Top Australian contract, a top Australian contract is 5 million. I guess the English one is probably 3.5 or something.
That's million. The other thing I was going to say. England,
as a thing.
England, India, Australia, the big three.
Yeah.
Their players, so guys, you don't see their players going and all play, but they're getting paid well.
Yeah, correct. You got guys. We got a T10 tournament playing, and West Indies are being beaten by Bangladesh in one-day cricket, and then you got all the guys. Our one-day captain has refused to go to Bangladesh and play in a tree series, and he's in Dubai playing T10. So that's the thing. So like me personally, what the board is going to do? You can't tell them if you give them if you give a guy and say, look, you don't have to go. There's not gonna be repercussions. He's always gonna pick the easy road. So at the end of the day, there's no loyalty to West Indies cricket because loyalty is money, bro.
Yeah.
You're only loyal to the almighty dollar. And if that almighty dollar isn't the right numeral, man, guys are gonna go all the way. And that's what happened to West Indies. But what they've done in the Test series is absolutely amazing. I was thinking that Bangladesh was gonna spin us out, but the guys just showed resolute, man. They just fought hard and they made everyone in lockdown. We just lost Ezra Mosley, condolences to his family and stuff. And I'm not sure if Gav would have played against him you would have played against him, Gavin, in program cricket. You wouldn't play against him in Fred Ramsey?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he got knocked off his bicycle. He was riding in the morning, got knocked. Yeah,
I think he was quite a bit ahead of me. He was sort of 10 years before me, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, so we were dung about we as a cricketing fraternity in Barbados and across the region, we were distraught about that. But then with this victory and Calamere scoring 210 not only in the second in the fourth innings, big knock. On debut, man, that's massive. That's a big no. And if you're a lover of the game, man, you gotta say, wow. In Bangladesh, not many men go Bangladesh and score double 100. I know that Jason Gillespie scored a double 100, but that was like 15 years ago when Bangladesh was no catching their feet. But to do it in that circumstance and chase the highest score in Asia, I thought that was tremendous. So cricket is alive, man. Guys are still hungry. You know what I mean? But also, guys want them IPL.
You need more of those, like you said, the lad Myers. I hope now you're going to see an influx of kids on the streets of the Caribbean talking and saying, I want to make double hundreds like the man Myers. That would be great to see. Gav, on the other hand, English cricket, like Tino is talking about there, you've got Jason Holder. I noticed that actually. The West Indies captain is not with the West Indies team and he's playing in a franchise. I mean, that wouldn't happen with the English boys. They go away, but they're getting paid £1 million contracts. Do you think that's a big difference? And do you think that potentially is a threat to the Test game as an overall? that we're not going to see the best players on all the other countries playing against each other?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Dusty is absolutely right. Well, money talks. You can't fault these lads. You know, the bottom line is it's their career, it's their job. It's like what you do for a living. You choose to do it. This is my job, and how I choose to get paid for it, it's my decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas England, Australia, and India, look, they're miles ahead in terms of the governing bodies. They're miles ahead in terms of how the contracts are set out, and they're miles ahead in terms of management. I mean, you look at the England side now. There's 30 people, 30 sides squad in their staff. There must be 15 staff members on that test pitch in the morning, covering all angles. You know, they've got all of them. Now, just think about the backroom staff at Lords and the ECB, people behind the comms. These guys and you see how good England are in front of in the media now, and how well they're portrayed to the fans, and like Ruti calling that guy in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
They're just building this brand of just really good bunch of lads. You know, because commercially they're going to do well because they're a likable bunch and they're doing well on the field, and they've got people like Ruti standing out, who's a figurehead now and of absolute immense cricketing talent. So that's what's keeping Test cricket alive. You've got Kohli keeping Test cricket alive. But bearing in mind, New Zealand boys don't get paid that well.
Yeah.
The New Zealand boys are okay. They get a decent whack, but nowhere near as much as the other three. And they play Test cricket. They get their best teams out for the one-day stuff. So the besties, right? There's an element of loyalty to the New Zealand and to the Black Caps, isn't it? So you know, a lot of these lads will have played great 4-day stuff, and it goes back to the domestic cricket that they play. How good is it? How challenging is it? And how competitive is it for them to sort of be driven through into the Test side? So yes, it is going to be massively challenging sort of towards Test cricket, but I can't see even South Africa. The big teams will always go back to it. There's too much loyalty to Test cricket, too much money involved, commercially, TV rights. It's holding the game together. It really is. So if you asked me this 5 years ago, I'd have feared for it, because IPL looked to be going to that stage where it's going to go into the explode, wasn't it, and take over sort of one-day cricket. But the sort of Australia and I think England and potentially New Zealand have reined it in a little bit, reined the players in, and said, look, you can play, you can go off. I think Stokes goes off now, doesn't he? And he goes off to Dubai and stuff. He goes, you can have a couple of weeks. And they're finding that balance of going, look, you can play, but you're not taking the whole 2 months.
I think you never had that problem back in the day because there wasn't the option there. Do you know what I mean? And the loyalty to the Test match brand and to your country was never in question then.
Absolutely.
The West Indies, you can sort of question the loyalty to the West Indian brand. However, if you're not making the money, you've got to put bread on the table. You have to provide for your family. So
can't fault it. Cannot fault it. But bearing in mind, Flanners, back then, look, you were loyal to your county. England came second. Well, England, if you got into the England side, you weren't paid by England, you were paid by your county. Okay. And you got paid by a test basis. So you'd have your nice contract to the counties. And those contracts were rigid. You wouldn't be able to go off and play somewhere else. You finished in September, 5 months off, go play some club stuff, but you're back in February. Fact, there's no otherwise move on. So that's how things have changed. And, you know, I think the loyalty to the England brand now is, I think they've got it absolutely perfect, certainly the ECB. And I think Australia have had their problems over the last 3 or 4 years, but they're getting there. They're finding a way to make the Test team look attractive commercially and to the public, which I think is a massive difference. And this win in Bangladesh, is it on TV over there, Bestie? Could you watch it?
Of course, bro. Yeah, of course, man. Cricket is listen, cricket is alive over here, you know, bro.
Yeah,
you're saying
and that win,
it's just as we both agreed on. It's all about that cash flow, bro. Because if you're telling me, look, I can tell you this. I've had 3, and I'll play for West Indies for 12 years on and off. In those 12 years, I've played 60, 70 game international matches, right? I've had 3 contracts. The 3 contracts was one year I had a $40,000 US dollar contract. Another year I had a $60,000 US contract, and then I think my last year I had like an $80,000. That's retainer. That is nothing, brother. You get what I'm saying? When I first
are getting, they're on like 900 plus K, $1 million contracts.
Is that plus match? Is that plus match fees, Bestie? Or was that just
yeah? Plus match fees. I mean, I still you're still good. You know what I mean in terms of the Caribbean. But I remember even playing for Barbados, my first class game. I got paid $190 for my first class match.
It's brilliant.
You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And then when I played for West Indies, it was like you get paid way more. The gap was so massive. Let me show you how massive the gap was. You got paid $190 playing for Barbados. When you play for West Indies, you get something like 17,000 US a test match.
You must have
But that
been
was
like, you must have.
yeah.
Been
So
like, I like this.
so
I like
so
this.
yeah. So yeah. But that's how crazy. That's how big the gap was. And then we weren't doing well, and then they tried to take the sponsorship money and try to feed into the first class game, and then that's where all the problems came. You had people striking. You had because guys were like they want everything. So know that guys don't have any loyalty to West Indies. They're in every league, bro, because they ain't a security. West Indies cricket ain't a security. And as Gav rightfully said, man, the big three they take all the money, bro. That's the honest truth. They take, and we
$190.
$190 US. True story,
Flanners
bro.
gets more than that at the Grange.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah, first lap back. My first game back in 02, 01, 02, bro. And the thing is this here, right? West Indies cricket has built every single nation up. Every single nation. Australia, England, India, New Zealand, all of them have made money. And what has done is that the board in those days did not give the play. I remember Cigar Free Services, Wes Hall, he said this to me. Wes Hall said he was being paid $500 US for a test match. And the Australians were getting, Richie Benola and those guys were getting 20,000 Australian.
It's not very well balanced, is it? There's no doubt.
No, man.
There's no doubt.
The big three. Yeah. So but the players have always are tired of it. So that's the big issue. The board have always taken, and the players just get the peanuts, and that's where you had a lot of strikes and stuff, and that's where the brand of West Indies cricket has diminished. It didn't diminish because of talent, bro. It diminished because of the board. And the cash flow are not paying the players what they deserve. And that's the honest truth about West Indies cricket in a nutshell, bro.
Well, listen, I hope it improves. But I know, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I've been watching cricket in the Caribbean for years now, way back, growing up, watching Lara, etc. And they were always striking. There was always problems going on. But it strikes me as very similar to the Pakistani board as well, which has always got similar shit going on as well, which is never plain sailing. But listen, I want to touch on a couple of the other series that have been going on. So, as I said at the start, the advert of Test cricket has been fantastic over the last couple of months. We've seen one of the great series in Australia where India bowled out for 36 in the first Test match, and everyone's saying India the worst team. They're going to get slated out there, and they bounced back. They lost Kohli. Rahane took over the captaincy. And one of the greatest fight backs in Test cricket you'll ever see to come back and beat Australia in that last Test. The boy Pant, the keeper batsman, playing a serious knock. You must have been watching a bit of that, Gav, staying up late. Woody keeping you up?
Funnily enough, yeah. I watched it. I've never been a massive cricket watcher, to be honest, but obviously during lockdown and like you said, having a young lad, I've watched loads and it was genuinely good cricket. Loved it. When I think Michael Vaughan took a brunt of coming out with a 4-0 win to Australia or something, and seeing at his words, because it didn't just win, it just showed India. Best you know more about it than me because you've played against them. I don't know. They've always had this perception of when it got tough, or when they're in the field, they'd always just let it go and then back the batters to get a few. But they just had a young fighting spirit about them. I think they just had no fear. We're in Australia, whereas before, I think they won the series before, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think Kohli had won. So they had this no fear, fresh, wet behind the ears. Let's just take these guys on in their own backyard. And the Aussies didn't know what to do with it. They were shocked after that first Test. And the way they came back and way they attacked, it was just really genuinely good viewing. I mean, like I said, I'm not a massive cricket watcher, but I'll record it, which I've never done in my life. And obviously that last win in Brisbane, was it? Is it the Gabba they won the last one? And then to knock it off was just box office stuff. Like you said, that went down to did they chase it on the 5th day or the 4th day? I think it's the 5th day.
Fifth
So
day.
on a worn 5th day pitch, and people who don't know cricket, obviously only just watch T20 stuff, they won't appreciate the intricacies of that chase.
Yeah.
Obviously we do, obviously, because we know the game well, but it was it's like you said, these last 3 weeks of just for Test cricket. If you're not getting into it, then I'll be astounded if you like your cricket.
It's good to see a bit of niggle, Gav, as well, isn't it? Like even the English lads and now, but even Ashwin and Tim Payne, I thought that defines cricket for me. Do you know what I mean? That banter, that niggling, that I think that's what cricket's all about. It gets stuck into it, and I think that was missing from the game a little bit as well. But it was good to see that, and Indians to do that over there. Unreal.
Which shows you care. It shows you care. Shows you want to win. But we all know it's a fine balance between being an arse and getting a bit of niggle. There's some. It's if you're funny, or if you're not funny, don't try and be funny. Firstly, that's the first rule.
Can't wait to get you to the Gabba, Ash. Well, that came back better on the arse big time.
I mean, seriously. Pick your battles.
I pick your battles. Tino, another Test series that's been going on. Before I get to talking about the current one going on as well, is return to Test cricket to Pakistan. Now, it's been happening gradually, very slowly, but for the first time, quite a big team have come to the country in South Africa. I don't know how much of it you've managed to catch, but it's been, again, bloody good Test series. It was nip and tuck on both matches. 1 minute the pendulum was swinging South Africa, Pakistan were bouncing back. In the end, it was a well fought series, and Pakistan came out on top. What do you think of cricket going back there?
Look, man. To be honest, Pakistan is one of the places I've never played cricket. I've never played it. Yeah, I've played against Pakistan all over the world, but never in Pakistan. It's good. Look, I always said that Pakistan is one of those nations that are just as passionate as India, the Caribbean, or the Australias, and to see that series down there, for them to finally play at home as well was tremendous. And I got a little glimpse of it, but I always felt that Pakistan playing home would have always going to beat South Africa because of the passion and they want cricket to come back. So it was a great advert for the game coming back into Pakistan. The security was good. You didn't see any hiccups whatsoever. So kudos to the Pakistan, the PCA for that, and to the players as well for putting on some incredible game. I want to just get back to something that Gav said about India. And Gav and Flanners, I just want you guys to know why I've played against India so many times. And in this decade, in the previous decade, in the double zeros, in the 2000s, I always felt that they were a team you could intimidate, and rough them up. After 2010 coming down, the only way they got confidence and got better and got more aggressive because of the IPL. They brought in all those players and they learned from everyone.
Yeah,
they understood.
That's a good point.
They understood cricket. They understand finishing games. They understand execution. They understand that they start to get that Australian attitude, as in like, oh, it's a bad day, forget about it, start again tomorrow. Being bowled out for 36 and then coming back to win these series is absolutely tremendous. Shows you resolute, shows resilience and mindset. And because of the IPL has brought in so many different coaches, so many the young Indian players got to mix with the legends of the game and understanding and picking from the Dale Steens to the Steve Smiths to the Chris Gales to the Andre Russells to whoever do well in IPL, Dwayne Bravos, the Pollards. They pick these guys' brain and these guys become fantastic. And that is what league's supposed to do. And I can tell you what, India has really tricked the world, bro. They have tricked the world big time. Look at the Test series that's going on now. They got beat soundly in the first test. I know they're laughing at England. They're going to beat England with a dare to spear.
Nah.
You understand what I'm saying?
England will knock it off, mate.
Yeah. But
they won't get past lunchtime.
If they knock it off, if they knock it off, brilliant to them.
No chance.
Because really and truly, if Ashwin can score 100, that's brilliant because Ashwin just counterattacked. Counterattack all day, just sweeping. But I can tell you this, but Ashwin facing Ashwin on that surface, Gav, whoa, I can tell you, boy. It's
no chance.
facing Shane Shillingford in Dominica. Oh man, did you see the puff of dust that's coming up off the surface?
Oh,
What brilliant! I love it. And the thing about it too, you will see the negative things about, oh, this is not a test, man. We rock. How many times I rock up in England or Australia and see the pitch in New Zealand in the wake? I can't even tell the difference between the outfield and the pitch. The ball seaming from in front of you the first morning. You play.
What are you complaining about?
That's what I'm saying. So if the ball is seaming and swinging, everyone is saying, oh yeah, that's beautiful bowling. But if the wicket is bouncing and turning, oh, it's unfit. Man, I don't get it. Just play the cricket, man. Let's see your skill set.
You can't complain. They scored 500 runs, so it's not that bad a pitch.
Play the conditions, like you said, Gav. You got to get on with it. It's Test cricket. That's the beauty of it, and the fact that India won in Australia. That's a beautiful thing, because Australia have been dominating on their home conditions for a long time. India have been dominating in their home conditions. So to see Joe Root go double hundred, don't get me wrong, the double hundred in Sri Lanka was good, but Sri Lanka looked bad. She didn't look
ordinary, wasn't
it? But then to do it in India on the first test, that was incredible. And this series is set up for another box office series. It's going to go. But I think the fact that India. The other thing I was going to say is the fact that there's no crowds, yet we're all still buzzing about Test cricket. That shows.
No, they got crowds now. They've got
some. India they've got, and Australia had a little bit, but for instance, in Pakistan, nobody in the ground, and still the match is intriguing. You're enjoying watching it. It's just such a great format. T20, I can go to the loo for half an hour, come back, catch up with the game. I'm not too fussed. I know it's going up, but with Test cricket, sometimes when a match is really on a knife edge, you can't leave your seat. You're just like, oof, this next half an hour is crucial. If they can get through this or they can do that, it's the best format of the game. And what do you think about the ICC wanting to make it 4-day tests?
It's a waste. It wouldn't be. It doesn't differentiate between county, or should I say, first class cricket and Test cricket. It doesn't make any sense. It's if it finishes in 4 days, so be it. That's you can't take the unique part of the game away from it. That's what makes it unique. Because 5 days is a bloody long time. It really is. If you're in the field, I played some 4-day games and I've been in the field for 2.5 days. You just think, another 3 of this. It's a long shift. Yeah. That's character, isn't it? That's the character.
I see 3 new balls. Already, bro.
Hey,
there's nothing worse waking up on the third day thinking, I've got to go again.
You need to have a day in between so you can have a rest off the alcohol as well. Do you know what I mean? You need that day to recover in the middle.
Man, Test cricket is the greatest format, man. There's nothing like Test cricket.
No, Flanners, we never drank during games.
Never. I bet you boys were a few dusty mornings after a few late sherbets, surely.
Flanners, my first class debut at Kent for Yorkshire against Kent, obviously, we had bottles of red wine on the table at lunchtime. Yeah, we used to sit in the marquees at the bottom at Maidstone. There was bottles of red in the middle of the table where you had lunch, and people would just have a little sip. Just first class cricket.
You're in the game.
Yeah, during the game.
Times have changed now. You'd get fined. You'd be out of team for a couple of games. And
unbelievable. It's genius. Just imagine he just bowled them out. We were just think, I'm batting 7. I can get a bottle in. Nobody will know. Probably play better.
We've worked one thing out on this podcast above all else. Test cricket is alive and well. It's the best form of cricket. But to finish, I thought it'd be good to have a little laugh. So I brought you two together today. And you two have shared, I didn't know this, but when I had Bestie on the podcast for his journey story, he told a great story about you, Gav. So while you're both here together, I want you to kind of take us back to 40 years ago. Was it 20 years ago? Tell us how you came across. Gav, you tell me how you came across each other and that time of life.
Yeah, it was November, wasn't it, Bestie? Yeah, look, I was 2001, so I was sort of coming sort of slowly to the end of my career, and I was just sort of hanging on. I played, I think that was 12 years worth of first class cricket, and I was on the back of 6 really good years, and I had a crap year that leading 2000. No, we won the championship, but I had a really bad personal year. So I wanted to go to Perth that winter and just sort of try and reinvigorate myself and get, just find something different. So I wanted to go for 4 months. So anyway, in between going, I went to the West Indies, went to Barbados on what was the Warren Ramsey tour, which was an end of season trip for ex pros, even though I was still playing, which said it really. I think there was 8 of us, and 2 of us, no, probably more. There's 12 of us, and 2 of us were playing 6 teams. That was about right. And it was called the Warren Ramsey Cricket Festival. So we'll play, like I said, 2 pros in a select team that's all got brought together by a mixture of club players and stuff. So it was myself and Ed Giddens who played in our team. I'm great mates with Giddo, and he's a loose cannon, and I was a bit loose in those days. So it was just one of those dream trips for 2 weeks. And obviously the first game, we meet all our teammates, and this young little whippersnapper came in. Surprisingly, never took a breath. This is the first thing I remember. Didn't take a breath before he spoke. He'd speak for 20 minutes, not one breath. I went, is he still going? He was one of those. Had Tino. Oh, anyway, nice to meet you, Tino. Anyway, so he came into bowl. I always remember this because me and Giddo, I think we'd been out the night before. I'm glad we were fielding. And he came into bowl, and I just thought, fuck. I'm it off. I'm just like this. Jesus Christ. And I can't remember who was the opposite. I think one of the English lads, it might have been Darren Maddy, I think, was on it. And Mads has been out with us the night before, and I could the look on his face, first ball hanging out of his arse from the night before, and then Bessie following through to within a yard of him. First ball, we're just thinking, oh my God, this is bloody brilliant. Me and just giggling with each other. So that was my first experience. Obviously, Bessie played with us. I think we played 8 games. We had 2 weeks, so we'd play the cricket. Great fun. Played in great spirit, and then we'll stay behind, have a few drinks, go out that night, carried on over 2 weeks. And you weren't playing for Barbados or anything in those days, were you, Tino? You were just on the verge of a really good club side and not even noticed. And I remember after 2 or 3 games, and I just thought, it wasn't just quick, he could bowl. You can see a mile away that he had talent. He wasn't just this idiot that just ran in and bowled bouncers. He could bowl, he could swing it when he got it right, and he got his right length, and it was, you can just tell somebody who can control the ball. And me and Giddo just said, this is ridiculous. And I remember a reporter coming to the ground and asking about, I can't remember the ground it was. It was that.
We was at a function. We was at a function in Shipping.
Yes, it was.
The season function, and Barry Wilkinson. I got the article still, bro.
That's right. And he just said, have you enjoyed your time? Yeah, he said, have you enjoyed your time? I said, it's been great. We didn't win many games, but it's been brilliant. And playing an old, sort of going back to Barbados heritage cricket on club grounds, crap outfields. It was brilliant to get involved in. And we said, this guy, Tino Best, what's he do? Because Bessie never told us about who he played for. He never said, I want to be playing for the West Indies, or I should be playing first-class cricket. It was all very low-key. And then we just said, is he in what side is he in? What is he playing Barbados? Is he on the West Indies side? He's not even close. So we couldn't get our heads around it, because I remember, during the 90s, obviously the Ambrose, Walshes, there were just, West Indies bowling was the best. It was the 80s and 90s. It was the best. It always has, always will be. So in our eyes, that late 90s, 2000s, we always thought it was on a bit of a slippery slope. We never, apart from Walsh and Ambrose, there was nobody ever to back them up. I remember them coming to England in 2000 or whenever it was, and as soon as Ambrose and Walsh were off, it was a free for all. So everyone just wanted to get through it. So I always thought that West Indies cricket was always was on a bit of a downhill, to not having any talent. That's why we were amazed that he couldn't get a gig. And then I think within 2 weeks, I think Barbados had picked you up, hadn't they?
Yeah, that's look. I'll tell you what, bro. Like what had happened, Gav, is that I remember you give me Nike shoes. You give me a pair of Nike shoe boots. I was like, yeah, boy.
I've given up bowling by then.
You give me a Nike boots, and you tell me, yo, and I tell you, you give me Nike boots, and I think Keith Medley give me a Surrey shirt. Called Meadows. We was playing in Meadows 11. Meadows or you captain.
That was it.
Yeah, man, that was like a dream. Like so basically what happened is that earlier the year in April in 2001, I went and bowled out South Africa test team, and I hit Gary Kirsten in the head, and he didn't want to face me no more, and I hit Cullinan, Derek Cullinan, like on the ribs and stuff, and it was like beating her show for just not for pace, but you know, Herschel was young that time, but Herschel was like, yo, it's a little man. So Graham Ford, the head coach of South Africa, he did this interview and he said, like, yo, this little youngster Tino Best, like, you guys should give this little man an opportunity. But then when they started to play first division that summer, I ran and had this magnificent dive, and I landed on my shoulder, and it hurt my shoulder. I still got the lump on my shoulder, and I didn't bowl for like. That was actually the first thing I start back bowling when you guys for the Fred Ramsey tournament. So when you guys did that interview, from what Graham Ford, the head coach, said 6 months before, and then the two English pros come and say that, I got invited to trials, brother. I got invited to national trials. So when I got invited to national trials, now everybody like hype and Sheikhy would have known this story. Like everybody was hype. Gav, because Gav never really heard this story, you know. When I ended up my first trial game for Barbados, I never played on the 15, never made it on the 19 squads. Never made it on the 19 squads, never made it on the 19 squads, never made it on the 15s. But basically happened is that I got invited for trials. On my first game, I had a ball at Phil Wallace and Sharon Campbell and Dale Richards in the first three. Bro, I bowled like 12 overs, about 80 B. The man creamy. I get cream, like literally, Gav, I get smoked. And we used to play 3-day trial games in 9 days. So on the third and final day, which was a Sunday, I got one of the selectors. I didn't know that. I was a total novice to like the selection policy because I had been raised under my uncle Carly Best so much. I'm pampered. So I didn't understand politics and all this crap. So when I at the end of that trial game, one of the selectors called me over and he said, look, guys thought highly of you, but we don't think that you're ready yet. You still got a lot of work to do. You need someone to work on your action. We know you're raw. But the pitch was real slow because it had rainwater. And Gav, you know, after rainwater in the pitch ain't got no pace. Yeah, so I was so every ball was just sitting up and I was being spiked. I walked across the field, Gav, and I was out of trials. I was kicked out of Barbados trials, but I was good. So I went home and I spoke to my mom and I was emotional and saying, this cricket thing for me. And my mom listened to me for like 2 hours, B. And then she said, you can let someone stop you from achieving something that you love. You know what I mean? So she said, you should continue practicing. I was like, nah, man, they kicked me off the training squad. Like, why would I want to do that? And then she just said, go. And I went, yeah. And when I went the Tuesday and the Wednesday and practice with the guys. Sharon Campbell saw me again and he was like, yo, why you on board like this in the game? I was like, man, I was just nervous and, that wasn't my kind of surface and stuff. He said, look, what will you gear tomorrow Thursday? And you don't know someone can pull up at trials and you might get in. So I went to camp in the army. That time I was in the army. I went to the army camp, told my sergeant what happened, came down to the trial game just with my backpack, my weights, your Nike boots in my bag, my Keith Mellicott shirt, my Keith Mellicott shirt, Gavin Hamilton boots, and my white pants. And I end up like lunchtime came, tea time came, nothing, nobody can pull up. I went downstairs because this game was playing at a place called Weymouth. Went downstairs and tell Campbell, like, yo, respect, like, good looking out. Because, Gav, you know these things. If someone try to help you, even though it might not work out, you should tell them, thanks for it. Yeah. As I going on to tell him thanks, he was like, yo, did you bring your kick? I was like, what? He's like, Ian Bradshaw, knee is sore. And he doesn't want to bowl anymore. And we are short of bowling. So, and I got called in. I bowled, after tea, I bowled 13 overs straight. I got 3 in that spell for about 40. And at that moment, because it was the first day of the final trial game, the TV cameras were there for the final session. And man, all of it was on TV, bro. And everyone was like, wow, everybody's jaw just dropped.
And the rest
is my life, my life changed.
It was meant to be, mate. You can imagine if you're playing in that.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
I've got a burning question, Sheikhy. I've got one burning question. Burning. Was Harbour Lights still a thing then?
Was it still
a thing? Absolutely. It was. Always.
Out of the 14 days I went there, I reckon I went there 15 times.
Yeah,
punch.
mate.
How good's rum punch? I've actually I've never been to a place where you pay, is it like 20, what was it, US or something?
And just drink all you can.
Just free rum punch. And all I remember about Barbados is St. Lawrence
absolutely.
and Harbour Lights.
So Lawrence Gap wasn't great in those days. It was all right, but all we did, we just went to the boathouse and went to Harbour Lights. That was it. You didn't need anything else in life.
The boatyard. Yeah. So Gav, that was so naked, bro. And I never looked back, bro. I just
it's great to hear that, Bessie.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's
That shows such a beautiful story to finish with, because that's not just a story like, oh yeah, I played with Gav 15 years ago, I played with Tino, we played against each other in a couple of games. He turned up for his first trial game with a pair of boots that you gave him.
Brilliant. That's
a beautiful story. I get emotional when I hear that one.
But I find it bloody weird that what these selectors are thinking. I mean, these guys are meant to know the game. And you know, guys, you can see when someone can bowl. They don't have to get 8 for. But you can tell a mile off when someone can bowl. You just think, wow, West Indies Barbados must have a lot of bowlers in the backyard.
I think politics plays a
amazing
big part. It did go to be brighter times. Tino obviously formed a partnership with Fidel Edwards, equally very quick. And I think they kind of both. It was strange though. You went from Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh to Tino Best and Fidel Edwards, like two little guys bowling rapid compared to two big high towers.
Yeah.
The beauty of fast bowling. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. A great finish to the podcast there. Hearing the camaraderie between you two. Flanners, as always, appreciate you joining us. I think Tino understood you, which is a fantastic achievement for you.
I'll tell you a quick joke there, Gav. Those same boots, right, brother? My grandmother's a very spiritual woman with church and stuff. We put them, so we have an altar, that we pray to and stuff. My grandmother took them to her bishop and got like holy water sprinkled on them. And that even more like crazy.
So you what, good things better happen to me, Bestie.
Man. That's class.
Those boots are great, man.
I'll catch you at the end for 2 seconds. Cheers, chaps.
Yeah, cheers, respect.
Cheers, guys.